Boom! There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have just found out that Ripple are going to be tokenizing US Treasuries on the XRP ledger. This is absolutely huge news. You guys know that it is our opinion that Ripple will become one of the largest companies in the world. And the reason why is because they are going to enable the US in regards to their global position around the world. If you look at why the United States is the superpower that it is, it has a lot to do with the dollar system, the world reserve currency, which is US dollars. It also has a lot to do with leveraging the companies that are the largest in the world, all tech companies, and leveraging technology from those companies to maintain its global leadership role. Ripple is very, very quickly positioning itself to become one of those companies. Now, they have the technology to essentially save the United States from a debt point of view and actually further the role of the United States dollar globally, certainly in emerging markets. And not only in doing that, by making it accessible for people to get hold of digital dollars, they can actually provide a buyer for the colossal debt that is out there in the form of US Treasuries. And just within the past, it was actually news that came out on the 1st of August, we see that Ripple has now introduced US Treasuries. It's all happening, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we've been talking about what Paul Ryan had to say. Whether you like the guy or not, I don't care. We're not here to discuss him politically. We're here to discuss the idea that he put forward in regards to how we can use stablecoins, or the United States can use stablecoins to essentially do two things. The major one for him, got some balloons there, guys. This is indeed a celebration. The major one for him is to actually sort of stave off a kind of debt crisis and a kind of dumping of US dollar debts by providing a new demand for them in the form of treasury-backed stable coins, and also in the same time of doing that, provide broader access to the US dollar, which is already used in many currencies. I think El Salvador used dollars, Argentina, as many of you like to correctly point me out on there, they already use dollars. If you go to many countries, they have kind of dual systems, and the dollar is that. You're now going to be able to gain easy access to them. This is huge. This is the role that Ripple is going to play, and of course, XRP is going to play a role as the kind of financial connective tissue of it all. Just on a side note, before we pivot into this news, we did see a bank in China actually fall victim to ransomware. Now, you guys will also know I'm a big fan of the ICP blockchain, the Internet Computer Protocol. The reason being is because I understand that if you use smart contracts to build systems, services, like many that are offered today in the forms of the internet, that are large companies that rely on the internet and the infrastructure the internet is built on to do that, they're vulnerable. You eradicate that and the likes of ransomware with the introduction of smart contracts and layer ones. Actually, that also applies for payments. So you wouldn't have issues. This is why this technology is going to get adopted, because it fundamentally changes things. That's enough of that. Let's dive into the news. We're going to go down the rabbit hole. And we'll also be re-bringing up that interview that we were lucky enough to conduct with Archax, that are a Ripple partner, in regards to what Graham had to say in regards to what he's really excited about relating to actually using treasuries for payments, which is what Paul Ryan's on about, what we're on about, what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. And we've seen the kind of some real strong move for XRP. Of course, the crypto space pulling back with the broader markets on the sort of uncertainty caused around rising unemployment. But it's coming, guys. It's coming. I've never wanted people to win so badly as I have the XRP community. So this is from the 1st of August, 2024, this year, a few days ago. OpenEden introduced tokenized US Treasury bills onto the XRP ledger. Tokenized platform OpenEden has announced that it will bring tokenized US Treasury bills, T-bills, a short-term US government debt obligation backed by the US Department of the Treasury, to the XRP ledger. So this is backed by the US Department of the Treasury. You seeing the links? And its users for the first time. The tokenized T-bills onto the XRPL ledger is a demonstration of how institutional access to decentralized finance, DeFi, is driven by tokenization of traditional real-world assets. The assets backed OpenEden's T-bill tokens are invested in short-dated US T-bills and reverse repurchase agreements collateralized by US Treasuries. Minters are subject to stringent KYC and AML. It doesn't matter if you want to use these instruments, you're going to have to go through that screening to ensure the highest security and regulatory compliance standards. Ripple, the leader in enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions, certainly when it comes to payments, they are, guys, plain and simple, will also allocate $10 million into OpenEden's T-bills tokens. This is part of a larger fund that Ripple will allocate to tokenized T-bills provided by OpenEden and other issuers. So I want to actually pivot into the clip that we had, or a clip that we can derive from the interview that we did with Archaxis CEO Graham Rodford. He actually spoke about that this is a really exciting prospect, because then you can actually use he didn't mention T-bills specifically, but he mentioned money market funds, which are debt instrument funds, okay? How you can actually use money market funds, which typically have treasuries, or in the UK, gilts in them. You can actually use them for payments. And this all filters back into what we've been speaking about in regards to Ripple's position. Not only are they solving major issues in regards to the global remittance market, they're now actually innovating and kind of uplifting the entire financial system through revolutionizing what the financial system is backed by, and that is debt. And there's a big debt problem right now. We see countries around the world really dumping them. We'll talk about Paul Ryan in just a second and what he put forward. I see this as very, very plausible.
Someone like the Ripple team are all fantastic to work with anyway, and that means a lot to me that you can kind of collaborate with people, and their business is kind of, and I forget the names of all the parts, but it's kind of split into two in my mind. There's the payments bit and the other bit, and what I see happening in financial markets right now is this question about what you can use for payments coming up a bit more, because ordinarily we would use cash to pay for things. We might send cash via bank accounts, but if we were settling any form of financial transactions, we'd use cash. And what we've seen with the tokenization of money market funds, starting with stable coins, like what is it, 130, 150 billion, something like that. Those guys are earning interest on other people's money, but it's being used for such a lot of transactions. Actually, people are starting to pay attention now. I think more volume went through Tether than Visa the other month. So these things are starting to become important. And then I think some of the people that run money market funds are kind of going, oh, hang on a second. If I put my money market fund on chain, I can be used for transactions, much like stable coins, but actually let the user keep some of their yield. And I get quite interested around that point. This idea that why would you have cash? Why would you take bank risk and have something which is usually lower yielding and not even paying you base rate for a standard bank account? If I could be holding a money market fund and whoever would accept it as some form of payment. Now there's a lot of regulation that exists around whether this is possible or not. There's a lot of friction doing AML KYC on everyone that holds a security, but this idea that it can be used for a payment. So one of the attractions of Ripple is, they've kind of majored on payments for a long time. So just seeing if there's a way that we can integrate payments on XRPL into their payment network is pretty interesting for
me. Just to read on from this, it goes on to say, OpenEden's tokenized US Treasury bill represent another exciting example of how all types of real-world assets are being tokenized to drive utility and new opportunities, said the vice president of Ripple X. Institutions are increasingly looking at where to tokenize their real-world assets, and the arrival of T-bills on XRP's ledger, powered by OpenEden, reinforces the decentralized Layer 1 blockchain as one of the leading blockchains for real-world tokenization. The XRPL is built to power the institutional-grade financial use cases, thanks to its proven reliability, efficiency, and roadmap of comprehensive features such as autonomous market makers, as well as the up-and-coming decentralized identifier DID, extremely important, multi-purpose tokens, capabilities, lending protocols, and native Oracle supported. The XRPL provides a strong foundation for real-world asset tokenization institutional grades. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. I am pretty certain of it. It just makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, right? And to go back now to what Paul Ryan had to say, again, leave your political agendas at the door. We're not interested in him from a political point of view. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. What does interest me is what he's calling for, and that is the use of stablecoins, which many of them are already backed by treasuries, to bolster the United States position globally in the dollar reserve currency system, But on top of that, to solve this real kind of demand hole in regards to US Treasuries that will become a big issue, and ultimately there's two roads that goes on. Either the Fed just step in and buy them, and they have to do that through printing more money, and then it becomes a self sort of death spiral, which is kind of the path they're on, or whether there's an outside buyer. And we know that many people are dumping them, like China and a lot of the rest of the world. Certainly with the likes of sanctions and how they weaponize the dollar, people are dumping them. But actually we can kind of, with stablecoins, I say we, the United States can kind of, push this out further afield and kind of dollar milkshake-arize the world, or dollarize the world through this. So Republican and former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan called upon US lawmakers to promote dollar-backed stablecoins in a recent opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal, arguing that adopting stablecoins will make the US debt more attractive in international markets. He goes on to say, now former Speaker Paul Ryan, who served at the top of Republic House of Representatives under President Obama and Trump before retiring in 2019, is joining a debate by urging lawmakers in Washington to consider crafting a sound, predictable regulatory framework for stablecoins. Ryan argues in a recent Wall Street Journal opinion piece, that one response lawmakers should consider when faced with an ever-growing pile of American debt is to embrace stablecoins, making that debt more attractive in international markets and fending off the possibilities of a failed debt auction. It will never fail because Treasury will always step in, or the Fed will step in, which Ryan argues would roil markets and several undermine US credibility. If other countries are successful at bolstering their currency influence while dumping Treasury debt, the US will need to find a new way to make the dollar more attractive. Dollar-backed stablecoins are one answer. Ryan notes that China has embraced digital dollar technology through the digital yuan. Central bank digital currency HSBC China recently became the first foreign bank in the country to offer banking services utilizing the yuan. The US can't afford to sit idly in the largest institutional competitor taps latent demand for safer and convenient digital money. He goes on to talk about a number of other things, but the basic gist here is that he's basically saying, and we already see individuals backing their stablecoins with treasuries, with T-bills, that we embrace stablecoins and ultimately back them with T-bills, and we push that around the world when there's the need for more of a stable currency in many countries out there. And this is, I get a bit of the dollar milkshake theory. It's a bit of everything. And I think Ripple, I think this is a reality, actually. I think this is a very likely reality. I think Ripple is going to play a role in enabling all that. And ultimately, through doing that, make them one of the largest countries in the world, because the US will depend on them, or certainly need them. And I think when we talk about stablecoins and adoption, if you think about it's a US dollar-backed stablecoin, the largest issuer of US dollar-backed stablecoins right now is Tether, which isn't even a US country that the US don't control. They need to rein it in. And of course, Ripple have announced their stablecoin. They're starting to play around with T-bills, just like predicted. And of course, we know that, or there's an inkling there that Archax might be exploring a similar kind of thing with Ripple. So all roads lead to Jerusalem, so to speak. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Exciting news. We wanted to share it with you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.